a day or something, or read some poetry or prose about faith, about your faith, and pray. Make that time to meditate and pray. A lot of our sisters and brothers in the Eastern religions, they already know how to do that, and they do it well. I think of the Buddhists, I think of the meditations, all of this. But every religion has that component. It's just, I don't think it was as critical as we have found it to be until now, when we are alone. Yeah. It's very, very important to cultivate that and maintain it. And, just because I'm a minister, I'm a human being too. And I haven't been practicing what I've preached. Many times I find myself just forgetting to talk to the higher power, and I'll be wrestling with an issue, with a problem. We all have been in this time, because we're all, we've been isolated. We've been looking inward. We've been talking to ourselves, as I always do. I always say, if we start arguing with ourselves, then we know we've got a problem. But
we should always win that argument, Bob, right?
Well, it's just so important that we keep our inner strength, our inner faith, what we believe, what we know, and staying connected. I tell people all the time, prayer, whatever form it may take for the individual, is a form of communication, and it's a feeling that you can get, that you can actually cultivate in yourself, that you feel connected to a higher power, to other people. Sometimes I've heard people say, I felt you praying for me. I just felt this warm feeling, and it wasn't that they just had a nice hot mug of cocoa or anything. It's real. It is real. When people are praying for you, sure. When they're thinking of you. Yeah. And even just sending a quick note, an email or something, or a phone call, just saying, I was just thinking about you.
Yeah.
How are you?
I think more than ever we need to do that, Bob, is that, again, when we're having to physically distance like this, we're having to look at other ways like this, doing virtual things, notes, emails, text messages, you name it, right? And even, family doing Zoom contact, having those connections, and being a part in those ways. We have to try to do everything possible to maintain that. Even there are if people are religious in nature, there are services now they're doing services virtually, all of those things. So people need to tap in, connect. But I agree with you. We need to reach out to each other. We have to remember, I think that, how many situations have we lived through where, sometimes we go through hard times ourselves, but we have others around us that are kind of, maybe they're not going through a difficult time. It's everybody in the world is going through this difficult time. So we're having to call on each other when everybody's kind of feeling, that they need to be held up a bit, right, and supported. So I think it's so different from other times. And some people look to their spirituality or religion for the support to get them through those difficult times or through illness. And how is that impacted? Right? And you said
absolutely.
There are other ways that is impacted.
Right. And I think at the time that we're taping this program, there are churches that have reopened and they're practicing social distancing. I like your word better, physical distancing. Yeah. They're practicing that. They're able to gather, but in many cases, they have to make reservations to be there on a Sunday morning in their sanctuaries and their houses of worship. It's limited, how many people can be in there, the space they have to have between them. But at least there's something, this is now, we're coming back to that physicality that we need to be in the presence of each other.
Anyhow, right? I mean, that's a lot too, isn't it? Is that for now, but things are forever changing, and then there's worried about. So I think, don't you think that part of this too, and I think this feeds into the spirituality and the religious component as well, is I think one of the biggest things that I've heard from people, Bob, is uncertainty. That how this has been so hard for people on so many different levels, whether it be the physical, emotional, or spiritual, is the level of uncertainty with this. Have you heard that?
Oh, absolutely. And I think too, because we hear about upticks in the number of COVID patients, number of COVID cases that are being reported. It's like we're riding this emotional roller coaster, and nobody knows what's around the corner. I mean, everyone I've talked to, and I'm sure you feel the same way as I do, that we don't know. The door may slam on us again at any time. Yes. If the government or the communities, the mayors, the city councils, if they feel that their communities are being threatened again, they may shut down, and we may take several steps back from where we are now.
That's right.
I think that generates a lot of anxiety, like you say, the uncertainty of it.
Yeah.
I find too, because it's like we're fighting an invisible enemy. You know, we can't see COVID. Yeah. I mean, obviously, with a microscope, the doctors and scientists can see COVID.
Sure.
But when we're walking around, it's like this invisible enemy that is all around us.
Yeah.
Yet we can't perceive it. Mm-hmm. And I think that creates another level of anxiety. So what I have been suggesting to folks when they've said that to me, and several have, that this is like this invisible force that's out there, I say, well, remember, we've got another invisible force. We have our own soul, our own spirit. Mm-hmm. We have our prayer. We have our connection, our meditation. We have the higher power that we believe in, and whatever we may call that higher power. Can't see that, but it's there.
Right.
You know, we can feel it inside us. So I tell people, you know, let's bring our invisible force out to combat this invisible enemy.
Absolutely.
And keep us healthy and safe, mentally, physically, and spiritually.
Yeah, I do. I think I think that's beautifully said, Bob. And I think that we've, part of the challenge of this is, one of the skills I almost think that we need to develop, in addition to what you're saying, is just to be comfortable with the level of uncertainty, somehow to be comfortable within that. And that's not easy to do when we're feeling scared and threatened and all of that. But, and I wanted to go back to Bob, because I want to make sure we get this in. Many people, you talked about, funerals. People aren't able to, so many people have died from this. And one of the issues has been that people, what we need to do is we need to come together and we need to share in our grief. And people haven't been able to do that necessarily in the more traditional ways. We need to be able to memorialize our loved one, to come together, that's what services are for. They're part of the healing process, right?
Yes, they are.
This has been a big issue, that how that has been interrupted for people. And I think that I'm worried about people in terms of they're having a more complicated grief as a result of the ways that COVID has affected that. Tell me about what your experiences have been around this, and also even some suggestions, Bob.
Sure.
How we can do those, memorialize our loved ones in different ways.
Absolutely. And you bring up an excellent point. The funeral or the memorial service, it's for the survivors. Mm-hmm. It's, the person that has died is now on the other side. They're out of this universe. And we are left behind in the wake of their death to cope with how their death is affecting us individually. Coming together for a memorial service or a funeral is part of the healing. It's part of the grieving process. Mm-hmm. And that was interrupted by COVID-19. In the early days and early weeks of this crisis, they couldn't do anything. But I have to give a lot of credit to the funeral home industry, if that's the right word. The funeral directors I talked to all started thinking outside of the box. They started to use this type of technology. I remember the very first wake that I attended after COVID-19 hit and the shutdown came through was a drive-by wake. I know that sounds funny, but it was amazing. The family stood out in front of the funeral home, and the people came by in their cars, slowly driving by, waving to them, calling out to them, "I love you, we're praying for you, we're so sorry." And it was amazing to witness that very first one, because it was new to everybody. No one had ever done this before. And the beauty of it was, even though people couldn't hug each other and shake their hands and they're driving by in cars, they expressed their love.
Yes. Yeah.
And the families heard that.
Yes.
And funeral homes started to really innovate with this. Churches were shut down at that time, and we could not hold services, funerals or memorial services in churches. So the funeral directors, I really have to give them a lot of credit in all our communities. They really stepped up. And I know this from talking to the families, and not only from what I've seen, but from talking to the families, is that they felt, the families felt held, they felt cared for. And that really helped.
Sure.
Today, as we're taping this, a lot of the funeral services are being held inside with social physical distancing applied. Yep. And masks and all that, of course. So people have come back a little bit towards that connection that we had before.
In smaller numbers still, right?
Yeah, it's not prevalent, but in my experience, and I think that is greatly helping. I have to say too, from the perspective of bereavement, we at Care Dimensions have found that our contact over the phone with our families is so critical now. And I have found myself over the past 8 months, I've connected with my families more than I ever had before, because that's all we could do, basically.
Yeah.
And they needed our support. They needed to know that we were still here, and we're still here.
Thank you. Yes. Are you okay? I know. Ooh. Jeez, oh wait. Basically should be touching your mouth. Yep.
Okay, give it a shot.
What was that?
Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through
John, we'll give you 2 more. 14 and 15. Okay, Karen, give it a shot. Tina? It's Joey. Can you have someone who's going to speak try those microphones real quick? Check. Check. 1, 2. Testing. 1, 2. Check. Check.
were very tall. Did you walk up the hill? Is that why? All the heroes. I literally stood.
Wait.
Are we actually playing it through this time? Oh, we are playing it through.
So this section,
Woo.
I don't know.
Good to know. Your chair legs.
Wait, do you want the time?
It's 9:50. 9:50.
Time is.
9:50.
It is. Would you like the time?
I knew the time.
Be on the right.
You are amazing. That's it. That was like perfect. Don't curse it. Yeah, don't do that. Here we go. Preston, you guys good? Yep.
Good morning, families, friends, teachers, administrators, and last, but certainly not least, the graduates. It is my distinct pleasure to welcome you all to the Lunenburg High School Class of 2021 graduation ceremony. We are gathered here today to celebrate the hard work, perseverance, and accomplishments of a class which had to overcome more than we ever could have imagined when we first entered high school a mere 4 years ago. Despite the many obstacles presented by the nature of the past year, we conquered them all, and today we are graduates. Rather than reminiscing on the past and the countless memories, both good and bad, which culminated in this very ceremony, I would like to provide some advice before we all part ways and attempt to make our marks on the world. The formula for success in any goal you may attempt to achieve boils down to two simple concepts: direction and drive. To illustrate these concepts, our lives can be compared to the voyage of a ship attempting to cross the ocean. Before even starting the journey, the ship has an entire ocean to cross, a task that may seem nearly impossible in the beginning. To my fellow graduates, that is where we are today. Our next challenge is to find a way to get from this very field to the lives that up to this point we have only been able to dream of. And getting there does not come with an instruction manual. Well, not that we read those anyways, but you get the point. Therefore, like any successful voyage across the sea, you must have direction. You must have a vision of where you want to be in the future, a gleaming beacon that you will constantly pursue just over the horizon, depicting what your life has the potential to become. While having direction is the first step, it is useless without drive. The captain of a ship can set the GPS to go to the Bahamas, and he can dream about getting there, but I promise you, if the propellers never turn, the ship is not getting past the dock. The same goes for all of us. I encourage you all to dream big, to set goals and pursue your wildest ambitions. But if you don't put in the work to get there, it's just that, a dream. In order to truly be successful, you must constantly think about where you want to be and ignite a fire deep in your soul, a passionate flame that will not diminish to ensure your goals are achieved. Everyone has dreams, but what separates those who are successful from those who are not is the drive and the passion to get there. So, to the graduating class of 2021, if you had a blank whiteboard and could write down any dreams for the future, what would you say? What is your fantasy life that up to this point you have only been able to dream of? It may seem unrealistic and perhaps unattainable as we sit here in this field today, but if you define your goals and work towards them each and every day of your life, one day you'll wake up and realize that your wildest dreams have become a reality. Thank you. I now ask that you all please rise for the playing of our national anthem.
Twilight's last gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars to the perilous us fight. On the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
It is my pleasure to now welcome Katarina Betancourt to the stage to deliver the salutatory address.
Hello, everyone. It is so nice to see all of us sitting together for the first time this year. And although I debated taking the time to thank the friends, family, and teachers who made high school such an amazing place, I decided against it for two reasons. One, although important, a long list of thank yous isn't the most exciting speech. And two, those who are appreciated already know how special they are to me. So instead, I wanted to share a piece of wisdom that I have gained in the last 4 years, which is to live a life with no what ifs. I am a firm believer that nothing is promised to us in life, whether it be time or opportunities. And yes, although this belief is a bit pessimistic, I think we can all agree that this year was a great example of this. In 2017, when we walked into the high school for the first time, nobody was thinking about a pandemic. Instead, we worried about who was going to win float, what the theme was for the dungeon that week, or drama that nobody can remember anymore. But we all looked forward to the days of prom, rallies, powder puff, and eventually walking across the stage to receive our diplomas like we will today. And this year, the world changed, and with it came different worries. Will my family get sick? Will things go back to normal? Or more famously, when will the Wi-Fi finally be fixed? And although stressful, this year taught me that I can't wait for a second chance, that we can't predict the future, but we can make the most of the present. So today, I ask the class of 2021, as we prepare to start a new chapter of our life, to take every chance that is given to us, failure or success. Because regardless of what will happen, we must all live a life with no what ifs, no regrets. And we must take every opportunity we have to become better, because a second one is never promised. Thank you. I would now like to introduce Hannah Rabuccio, who will be singing our class song, Good Old Days.
Thinking about the fans. We were underground, loading merch in that 12-passenger van in a small club in Minnesota, and the snow outside of First Ave. I just wanted my name and a star. Now look at where we at, still growing up. still growing up. I would lay in my bed and dream about what I've become. Couldn't wait to get older, couldn't wait to be some. Now that I'm here, wishing I was still young. Those good old days.
I wish somebody would've told me, babe, that Johnny, these will be the good old days. All the love you won't forget, and all these reckless nights you won't regret. Cause Johnny, soon your whole life's gonna change. You'll miss the magic of the good old days.
Wish I didn't think I had the answers. Wish I didn't drink all of that blast first. Wish I made it to homecoming. Got up the courage to ask her. Wish I would've gotten out of my shell. Wish I put the bottle back on that shelf. Wish I wouldn't have worried about what other people thought and felt comfortable with myself. Rooftop open and the stars above. Moment frozen, sneaking out and falling in love. Me, you, and that futon. We just begun. On the grass dreaming, figuring out who I was. Those good old days.
I wish somebody would've told me, babe, that Johnny, these will be the good old days. All the love you won't forget, and all these reckless nights you won't regret. Cause Johnny, soon your whole life's gonna change. You'll miss the magic of the good old days.
Never thought we'd get old. Maybe we're still young. Maybe you always look back and think it was better than it was. Maybe these are the moments. Maybe I've been missing what it's about. Been scared of the future, thinking about the past while missing out on now. We've come so far. I guess I'm proud, and I ain't worried about the wrinkles around my smile. I got some scars, I've been around. I felt some pain and seen some things, but I'm here now. Those good old days.
You don't know what you got till it goes, till it's gone. You don't know what you got till it goes, till it's gone. I wish somebody would've told me, babe, Sonny, these will be the good old days. All the love you won't forget, and all these reckless nights you won't regret. Someday soon your whole life's gonna change. You'll miss the magic of these good old days. Thank you.
I would now like to introduce Olivia Catalini, who will be presenting her valedictory speech.
Good morning, everyone. I'd first like to congratulate the class of 2021. This is a momentous occasion. We've dedicated the past 4 years to our education, and we have grown tremendously in the process. We have evolved, and no, not like Pokemon or Transformers or butterflies that morph suddenly into their new forms. No, the process for us is more gradual. Our evolution happens in the background as we learn new skills and struggle through hard times. This is especially true when you look at how far we've come since freshman year. As freshmen, we were fledglings who didn't know how to fly. Everything seemed daunting. A 2-page paper was a whole endeavor, and a few math problems seemed like rocket science. And that one dreadful task, the freshman speech. It was a rite of passage I don't think anybody would have elected to do out of free will. However, with much guidance and practice, we survived. Of course, we looked at it with a freshman mindset, thinking, I'm going to forget all my lines and take a 0. We can now see how silly this is. We have evolved out of that black and white kind of thinking. We can work our way through problems without giving up at the first signs of a challenge. Take the senior project, for example. Compared to the freshman speech, this was an opportunity to be independent and create something meaningful to us. It was a good exercise to reflect on ourselves, something we should keep doing beyond high school. We have also gained some other superpowers over the years. We can write papers in our sleep, struggle in math problems for only 3 hours instead of 5 hours, light Bunsen burners without burning down the school. We are no longer fledglings, but eagles soaring high on the updrafts of life. And it wasn't easy getting to this point. Our last year and a half of high school was an anomaly. However, we have memories no class will ever have. No one before us has taken their senior photo with a mask on. No one before us has had to only make left turns in the halls. No one before us has had plastic dividers between their desks. And no senior class before us has struggled through such a year as this. We have a unique story. When someone asks you 30 years from now what senior year was like, you'll have something to tell them. You can tell them how proud you are to have achieved such great things in such hard times. You can tell them how you evolved into the person you are today. And we were not alone in this evolution. Our families, both in the classroom and at home, helped us along the whole way. Thank you to all the parents, siblings, teachers, administration, and staff who made our evolution possible. We couldn't have made it through high school without you. We will carry everything we have learned here with us into the world, wherever we go. And most of all, we will have a story like no other. Thank you. It is now my pleasure to introduce the President of the Student Council, Kyle Weiss.
Thank you, Olivia, and hello to all of you, the graduating class of 2021. It's only once in a lifetime that we have this opportunity before us, the opportunity to begin a new chapter, one where you will walk away from all that you know, becoming more independent than before, walking towards a world of possibilities. Our work for the last 13 years has led us to this. But this occasion is unachievable alone. We have only made it here with the help of our communities. They stood next to us, guided us. Think of those countless people in your community. Think of what they have given to make this day happen. Think of the extreme dedication they had to you and your success. Think of your future, a future made possible because of their actions. To the adults in our lives, those who have guided us to this point, and those that have had the extreme dedication, on behalf of your graduate who walks the stage today, thank you. Thank you for sticking by us, giving up so much for us, fighting for us, being strong for us, having our back, giving us tough love, and being the mentors we needed. As you cross the stage today, you will step into your future, one that may keep you near or send you far. No matter where you go, you will always have this town to call home. Thank you. And now I would like to introduce you to your class treasurer, Mr. Hunter York, to present the class gift.
Thank you, Kyle. Thank you to those members of the faculty, friends, and family joining us here today. Thank you to our remarkable class advisors, Mr. Cohen and Mrs. York. I literally wouldn't be here today without you. Most importantly, though, I'd like to thank the class of 2021. It has been an honor to serve as your treasurer these last 3 years. From an early age, I felt the spirit of the Blue Night while attending events like homecoming and watching our basketball and football games compete for victory. Although I wasn't a student here yet, getting to participate in I Believe That We Will Win chants during homecoming in the high school gym and attempting to catch handfuls of candy from each float that was passing by gave me my earliest sense of belonging here at Lunenburg. And who would have thought that one day I'd be the one riding upon that homecoming float, passing candy out to kids lining the streets. It is with the hope of keeping that spirit of the Blue Night alive that the other class officers and I have decided to purchase our class gift. Although it can't be on here with me here today on stage, I'm more than happy to tell you about it. At the start of the 2021-2022 school year, students will find a life-size, 6-foot-tall knight statue greeting them just outside of the main entrance. May this statue, it's pretty awesome. May this statue serve as a reminder of the strength and unity that the Blue Knight represents once again. Now that we have left our legacy on Lunenburg High School, it is time for us to leave our legacy on the world, and for me to leave mine on you. To do that, I have here with me today a dollar bill. I mean, come on, I'm your treasurer. You guys had to see that one coming. And the reason why I have it here is the dollar bill represents and symbolizes all that we hope to attain in life. And by that I mean many thousands of these dollar bills, not just the $1 bill I have here. And that's because with lots of money, we can buy whatever material possessions we want. And those material possessions then give us happiness, right? Wrong. You see, we're constantly trying to fill this void in our hearts with things of this earth. And each time we receive some satisfaction, except it doesn't last. Money does not equal happiness, and therefore, money does not equal success. If what society tells us to aim for continues to leave us unsatisfied, then we need to stop listening to society. If you are to change the world, then you cannot conform to it. And that's change that makes sense right there. And if I haven't taught you anything about personal financial literacy by now, that's okay. There is one thing that the dollar bill can remind us of every single time we flip it over. On the back of it, you will find a phrase. And this phrase has shaped the history of our nation, and hopefully it'll shape the outcome of your life too. It reads, "In God we trust." There goes my speech. And as you guys leave this stage today to write your legacy, understand that money may ensure your life, but only one thing ensures your happiness. May God bless you, may God bless America, and may God bless the class of 2021. Thank you. Next up, I'd like to invite to the stage our wonderful class advisors, Mrs. York and Mr. Cohen.
Thank you, Hunter. Congratulations to the amazing class of 2021. Today is a day to celebrate all of your accomplishments with your family and friends. 34 years ago, I stood in almost this same spot in what was the gym in the old high school and sang a solo at my own graduation. Never did I imagine that so many years later, I'd be standing up here again as a class advisor. And no, I'm not going to break out into song. Both Mr. Cohen and I have known many of you since before you set foot in the high school. We began talking about becoming your advisors when you were in the 7th grade because we wanted to help make your 4 years at Lunenburg High School the best that they could be. Before you were at LHS, I chaperoned your 8th grade trip to Washington, D.C. I knew many of you already, but got to know others who were in my group or on my bus for that long ride. Although I have chaperoned many high school trips to Italy and Greece over the years, watching just over 100 8th graders walking all over DC was a bit of a different experience. While there are many things that I could probably mention about that trip, the one that stands out in my mind is when I watched a group of you file into the elevator on the first night to head up to your hotel room after getting caught in a sudden thunderstorm, soaking wet and tired after a long day. The elevator doors began to close, but didn't quite close all the way, when suddenly I saw the elevator drop. I could see the panic on your faces as you realized what was happening. An alarm went off, and soon all of us who were standing there realized that not only had the elevator fallen a couple of floors, but you were trapped inside. We waited for about 30 minutes while the fire department came to free you. Later that night, after you were all safely in your hotel rooms, my husband called me to ask for the details of what had happened. I filled him in, and then he asked me, "Are you going to get fired for letting that happen?" I explained to him that there really wasn't anything that I could have done to have prevented that elevator from crashing. it wasn't overloaded, and that I was pretty sure that my job was safe, since the other chaperone who was standing right there as it happened was our principal, Mr. Santry. From that point on, I have enjoyed getting to know all of you, whether it was in my Latin classes, at float meetings, rallies, fundraisers, or directing your competitive class plays. We built 3 great floats: the Very Hungry Caterpillar, our 60s float, and our Las Vegas float. You worked together to come up with the designs, and whether it was folding and fluffing flowers, painting, or building some of the larger structures, you got involved. We will just have to imagine what our float would have looked like this year and what your class play would have been like. It was definitely hard not having those last this year. You didn't think that I'd get through my speech without a Latin quote, did you? Here it goes. Forsan et haec olim memorisse iuabit. Perhaps one day it will be pleasing to remember even these things. This was spoken by Aeneas in Virgil's Aeneid when he was addressing his men after having survived a terrible storm at sea. Well, class of 2021, we've all been through a very challenging year, but you all made it through the storm. It might be hard to see them, but as many people have said, there have been some positive things to come out of all that we have been through. As you think about the challenges you have faced, whether they were because of the COVID shutdown, hybrid or remote learning, or unrelated to the pandemic, I hope that you will be able to recall the good memories too. I'm sorry for what you lost this year, but I'm also proud of you, inspired by you, and hopeful for you. Parents, we have all heard the advice, don't blink, right? Do you remember watching Toy Story 3, which came out, I think, in 2010? Do you remember watching the scene when Andy says goodbye to his mom when he's leaving for college? I remember sobbing as I watched that scene, but then telling myself that my kids were only 7 and that that moment was so far away. Well, I think we all blinked. Thank you for all that you have done to support this class. Thank you to the administration, previous class advisors for their advice, and our amazing class officers who worked so well together over the past 4 years. Thank you to the entire class for allowing me to be one of your advisors. I've enjoyed every minute of it. And finally, thank you to my incredible co-advisor, Rich Cohen. I couldn't have asked for a better partner, and there is absolutely no way that I could have done this job without you. Congratulations again to the class of 2021. I wish you all the best in everything that lies ahead of you. And now I'd like to introduce Rich Cohen.
Good morning, graduates, and all the distinguished members who are here today. I need to take a moment before I start this speech and just acknowledge Mrs. York from my side. She's a Lunenburg alum, and her experience is really what made this an amazing 4 years for you guys. I could not have done it without her, and you and I are both blessed that she decided to come up for now. Thank you. Now on to the graduates, because today's all about them after all. Mrs. York and I spoke about what we would address in our speeches. She was going to focus on the memories of the years gone by, and I'll be focusing on the wonder and uncertainty of the years ahead. Today is not an end. Anyone that spent some time in my classroom can attest to this message. Today is but an end of a chapter. The moment we finish the last thought of this leg of the journey and place the period, or exclamation mark if you guys have been doing it right, on the chapter we call high school. Tomorrow we turn the page and begin the next leg of what all of us here today hope is a rewarding, fruitful, and satisfying tale. You are in control of the pen. You write the remainder of this tale. It is on your shoulders where and when the comedy arises, how much sorrow is endured. Will there be an epic action sequence? Dare I foreshadow? How many new characters will be introduced? I just ask this of you. Use a lot of adjectives and adverbs. Make your life the very best, not just the best. Make this an epic story, not just another story. Who would have thought this chapter would have ended this way? We began with such hope as hungry little caterpillars looking to make our mark on the school. You have survived through multiple global experiences, and now you look at the future as engineers, doctors, tradespeople, scientists, business folk, and all kinds of other professions that will allow you to make a mark on the world. The possibilities are endless with the right effort. Only you know that story will be written, but you must start writing. It's at this point in most speeches that I would tell you that so-and-so said something amazing way back when and try to inspire you to future greatness. Well, most of you know I don't do things the normal way, so I won't be quoting anyone. Instead, I offer you those quotation marks, wrapped neatly in a bow for use at a later date. Every one of those quote-worthy statements came from someone who sat in chairs as you do today, wide-eyed at the future ahead and apprehensive of what they would be able to accomplish. They went on to write their story and say quote-worthy things. I don't want you to listen to someone else's quote. I want you to create your own. My final advice to you is to find a passion, anything that makes you get up in the morning, something that excites your heart just a little bit more than usual when you do it. I came back because that for me is teaching. Something that inspires you to be better, to learn, or to do more. If you can somehow make a boatload of money doing it, fantastic. But those will be the minority. Still, we need to find a passion in our lives to keep us stimulated and striving for more. Passion in work, passion in family, passion in a relationship, passion in a craft or the arts, or passion for dear friends. It doesn't matter where you find passion, but rather that you find something to inspire you and fill those quotes. Sometime in the future, without knowing it or even thinking it so, my hope is that all of you will have something quote-worthy to inspire someone else who sits in those chairs, wide-eyed at the landscape ahead and wonders what awaits them. Graduates of 2021, this year has been, I won't say it, let's just say atypical. But it has come to a close as sure as any other class has, and we all wish you well. We release you now as full-fledged butterflies into the world. I believe I've heard the flap of a butterfly's wings can have an incredible impact on the world as we know it. Go flap your wings and live a quote-worthy life. It has been an honor and a privilege being your advisor and watching all of you grow through the years. Thank you for the inspiration and for helping me write these chapters of my book. Thank you. I would now like to introduce Mr. Santry, who will present the class of 2021.
Good morning, class of 2021. Good morning, parents and grandparents, brothers and sisters, relatives. Good morning, and what a glorious morning it is. I want to thank you for including me in such a wonderful day. I am humbled and grateful to share this momentous occasion with you. When I found out I was going to be able to speak at high school graduation, I thought back to the accomplishments and struggles that this class has experienced through their academic career. Most educators get to observe a snapshot of a class's growth over a year or maybe two. I have had the honor and the privilege of being able to observe your growth over the course of 9 years. From when you transitioned to the newly configured middle school from the primary school as the first class to participate and graduate from that building, to being 8th graders in a brand new middle school, as you handled that transition just as well as you did to the old middle school, participating in ribbon cutting ceremonies, Robbie and Julia, and being positive members of a school community, and as Mrs. York pointed out, an epic DC trip. And now you are graduating from high school and in the final stages of a global pandemic. Some people question whether our remote and hybrid learning was enough to prepare you for the next steps in life. I am not one of those people. The pandemic took many things from you, no one will argue that. But while navigating those losses, you developed qualities like resilience, strength, creativity, grit, and a sense of community that replaced those losses with strengths. It is those qualities that will develop and prepare you for success. not a grade or a score on a test. Those qualities are what will help you get to the next steps to be successful in life. What a wonderful day. Thank you, class of 2021, for including me in this special day. I leave you with one message. Please understand that you can accomplish anything you put your mind to. You have the skills and have developed the qualities to be successful in life. Superintendent Burnham, I certify that the students before you from the class of 2021 have fulfilled their graduation requirements and are eligible for graduation. Thank you.
Good morning, families, friends, faculty and staff, members of the school committee, and of course, the class of 2021. First to the parents, on behalf of the administration, faculty, and staff, I would like to express sincere gratitude for sharing your children with us. Your children become our children, and they bring great joy to our work as educators. I also want to thank you for the support, encouragement, patience, and understanding you have demonstrated this year as we relied on your partnership to continue teaching and learning in the best way possible under unprecedented conditions. To the faculty and staff, thank you for the commitment and dedication to these students over these last 4 years, but especially these last 15 months. You helped prepare our graduates to achieve this great accomplishment today. To the school committee, thank you for keeping the best interests of our students as your guiding principle and for supporting all that was needed to keep everyone safe and well and to provide the best teaching and learning experience possible under difficult and fluid conditions this past year. To the class of 2021, congratulations. Throughout the pandemic, you remained optimistic and creative. You supported each other and your teachers. You have no idea how much you made a difference for the adults here at school this past year. You made it to this day on this field with friends and family. You will be able to cross the stage and be handed your diploma, an act so simple that we took for granted, yet something that was not allowed just a year ago. Graduation day can be a time of mixed emotions, relief, happiness, excitement, and pride for all that you have accomplished. But there may also be a little sadness, uncertainty, emptiness, and even anxiety about leaving the place to which you have come every day for the last 4 years. Some of you are leaving after 13 years in Lunenburg schools. Some may be leaving home for the first time in the months ahead, heading off to the military or to universities and colleges near and far. Heading out on your own can be scary, but it can also be exciting. On this occasion, I hope my remarks will reassure you, affirm and applaud you on all of your accomplishments, but also inspire you. However, I don't think I could provide as much inspiration today to you as you have provided to me this year. Charles Darwin said, "It's not the strongest species that survive, nor the most intelligent, but the ones most responsive to change." You have certainly been responsive to your changing world. You have demonstrated perseverance and resilience throughout the pandemic. Perseverance is the continued effort to do or achieve something despite difficulties. Resilience is the ability to recover from or adjust to misfortune or change. In the natural world, there are many symbols of perseverance and resilience. The magnolia is a tough and hardy flower. The magnolia has adapted to climatic changes and geological conditions over thousands of years and has survived. The ant will not be deterred by any obstacles put in its path because the ant will try again. The beaver builds dams in the river with branches and mud and is aware that the results of his work will be affected by the movement of water, potentially washing away the dam. But that does not stop the beaver from building. The salmon is a fish that swims upriver to spawn. It could let itself be overcome by the obstacles and reproduce elsewhere, but it fights against the strength of the river current and continues onward to its intended destination. The bee is incredibly hardworking and builds combs and makes honey for the benefit of its community. The bee perseveres so that neither the bee nor any member of its community lacks sustenance. And lastly, my favorite symbol of resilience and perseverance, the turtle. You all know I love my turtles. The turtle offers all of us guidance and life lessons, and I want to share some of those with you today as I've shared with previous graduates. First, like the turtle, you carry your home with you. Lunenburg is a part of you forever, and you a part of it. You may leave for a while, but you can always come back home. And if your journey does not bring you back to Lunenburg, this community and all that you experienced here will be with you for your lifetime. Don't be afraid to try something new. If the turtle doesn't stick his neck out of the shell, he goes nowhere. Like the turtle, if we don't stick our necks out, we cannot grow and move through our life's journey. So challenge yourself. Be courageous. Don't be in a hurry to get to wherever it is you're headed. Like the turtles, slow down enough to appreciate all that you encounter along the way. Remember, slow and steady wins the race. Be cautious but unafraid. The turtle uses its shell for protection. Remember, you will always have good friends and family to turn to when you need comfort and protection. Be confident and use your head. Know that you have the strength to right yourself when things get turned upside down. Turtles, when flipped on their backs, can right themselves by using their heads. Be kind. Remember, just like the turtle, we are all soft inside. Recognize that we are all more alike than we are different. Be grateful for all you have and be willing to help those less fortunate. Don't lift yourself up by putting others down. Words and actions matter. Leave your mark. Turtles leave a distinctive track when they walk. You are uniquely you. Embrace that and be comfortable in your own shell. Leave your mark throughout your journey. Perseverance and resilience have never been more important to our future. You are our future. I know that you will make a difference. You and your generation have already demonstrated creativity, leadership, determination, strength, and of course, perseverance and resilience. So I encourage you to be the turtle. Go make your mark on the world. Shortly, when you come up to receive your diploma, I have a tiny little turtle for each of you. I want you to put it somewhere that you will come upon it often and keep it as a reminder of all the little turtle life lessons I've shared with you today. Congratulations, class of 2021. Now, to the school committee chair. I certify that the graduates before you have completed all of the graduation requirements necessary to receive their diploma today.
Yep, yeah. Getting breezy up here. All good. Macy Scott Atkinson. Emma Ann Johnston. It's okay, hon. Haley Lee Lombardo. Kate Lynn Marinchev. Emma Lynn Marinchev. Julia Frances Wilson. Isabella Marie Brackett. Abigail Grace Cohen. Genevieve Rose Victoria Farr. Olivia Rose Victoria Farr. Alexis Lee LeBlanc. Winter Renee Snow. Jessica Jane Tonoli. Natalie Danitza Vallis. Michael Kevin Cornell. Ryan Patrick Burns. Cooper Peter Craig. Connor Thomas Curtin. Spencer David Curtin. Lauren Ann Blomgren.
Marlena Lee Hansen. Paige Genevieve Gengler. Abby Nicole Delory. Jacob Ernest Friend. Samuel Robert Friend. Brian Carey Hebert. Good job, Brian. Peter Daniel Hennessy. Casey Lynn Kashuba. Good job, Casey. Nicholas Christopher Ouellette. Samuel Edward Bartow. Jared Daniel Bowser. Chayton Francis Dance. Jack Douglas Farwell. Tristan Scott Gallant. Michael James Gardner. Riley Patrick Jem. Good job, Riley. Braden James Gendron. William Andrew Holyfield. Ryan William Jones. Sean Michael Keowen. Connor Patrick Anderson. Andrew Connor Woods. Colby Ryan Kasaka. Gavin Laval Cloutier. Andrew Jean Parkinson. Michael David Trudell. Christian Timothy Adamson. Cole George Bishop. Patrick Jennings Blake. Jason James Brandy. Christian Manuel Ferniel. Adam Richard Hill. Hunter Alexander York. Lucas Anthony York. Lauren Eva Fahey. Keena Shabon Kelly. Kylie Marie Lombardo. Calliope Bell, Annalisa Mendoza. Callie Elizabeth Dick. Sarah Rose Tanny. Haley Catherine Weiser. Sophia Lynn Fermani. Taylor Jolynn Cairns. Olivia Rose Catalini. Emily Faith Doran. Daris Diana Felice. Oops. Sorry. Hunter Joseph Arsenal. Shay Benjamin Arsenal. Bridget Elizabeth Leet. Natalie Ann Smith. Abigail Irene Ball. Katerina Alexandria Betancourt. Joseph Thomas Davis. Troy Robert Drasser. Colby Daniel Deming. Kaysen William Deming. Nathan John Handy. Mia Marie Kelly. Haley Eve Lewinzik. Gabriella Manning Maya. Hannah Rose Ashman Robuccio. Lauren Marcy Ruggiero. Tristan Dakota Shapiro. Evan Michael Spencer. Mia Seagrave Stanton. Allison Elizabeth Storms. Abigail Ann Kojal. Nicole Louise Lawrence. Olivia Charlotte LeBlanc. Derek John Lacrosse. Daniel Richard Laudowney. Stephen Richard Mackey. Angus Leo Manuel. Ryan Austin Miller. Robert J. Nash. William Michael Peplowski. Sean Thomas Ryan. Drew Thomas Tobin. Sean Egan Tuttle. Brendan Michael Ware. Kyle Nicholas Weiss. Ethan Michael LeBlanc. Liam Manny McGain. Joshua Kenrick Morgan. Samuel Henry Paolini. Samuel James Seminator. Brody Ryan Tapley. Micah James Truax. Will all the graduates please rise? It is a long-standing tradition that after receiving a high school diploma, the cap tassel is shifted from the right side to the left side of the cap. This signifies to all the completion of the diploma. Graduates, please move your tassels. Ladies and gentlemen, family and friends, I present to you the 2021 graduating class of Lunenburg High School. At this time, I'd like to introduce Ryan Burns, the class vice president.
Yeah, well, I'm giving one. Well, hello, everyone. Well, we made it. I'm not sure how, but the day we all hoped would come so fast actually did. It's weird to think about, honestly. Graduating high school doesn't really roll off the tongue too well yet. High school graduate. Cool. But it will, and it's over now, so we can all take a deep breath and relax. Actually, maybe don't take a deep breath. I heard something's going around. But besides the corny jokes and cliche lines, it's actually really amazing to look back and see how far we've come. From a bunch of kids in kindergarten sitting crisscross applesauce on a rug during morning meetings to getting to know each other, growing together, and becoming the people, the adults we are today. Walked across this desired stage. Yes, our childhood may technically be over, but with our new responsibilities we'll have as adults, new memories will form for life. And the strange thing is that now it's time to go our separate paths. High school may bring you through different types of classes, activities, and experiences, but each one brings you to the same place, the stage I'm standing on. Taking our final walks as Lunenburg High School students, this is where we'll branch off into different paths to figure our lives out. It's time to finally leave. Now, some may stay here for online schooling, others may get out of the small town of Lunenburg or go across the country to find their own experiences outside of Massachusetts or even travel across the world. Everyone must find the road they'll take to be successful in their own life. Though we may be alone in our next chapter, we must not forget how we got here, because surely we did not do it alone. I just want to thank my amazing class advisors, Mr. Cohen and Mrs. York, for all the time they have sacrificed and the extra hard work that they had put in to help our class be as successful as possible. Without them, we would not be able to have the amazing experiences at Float, the fundraisers, or even have our own prom. And for that, I'm grateful. I also want to thank my fellow students. I may not be one of the top students in our class like the other officers, but you guys elected me sophomore year for vice president, and for that, I'm grateful and very satisfied with everything that I've helped put together. We have helped create a great look for the class of 2021, and I am proud to graduate with all of you. For my final words, I just want to say that though there were times where I was wishing that I was already out of high school, stressing over things that don't even matter anymore, I believe I will truly miss this place. Well, maybe after a couple of years. But most of all, I'll miss all of you. Thank you. And now for the closing remarks is Miss Abigail Cohen.
Good morning, fellow graduates, family, and friends. I'd first like to thank all of you for coming this morning. Graduating on a field full of loving guests is surreal for me and my peers. We could not be more grateful that we get to share this occasion with all of you in person. Over the last 4 years, I have had the pleasure of serving as your class secretary, and as you may already know, that requires a significant amount of record keeping. Unsurprisingly, this past year has had a profound impact on the types of items I document. BC, before COVID, our 7:15 a.m. class officer meetings were full of event planning, fundraising, jokes, and most importantly, donuts. We talked and we planned and we dreamed of float themes, fundraising, and class activities. And when we left school on March 13th, our future planning, as with every other part of our lives, came to a screeching halt. Suddenly, our minds were full of uncertainties and our days of frivolity were gone. Franklin Delano Roosevelt spoke to many graduates much like ourselves in 1932, and knowing that they had to navigate through the Depression to get there, he, in all his presidential wisdom, stated, "As you have viewed this world of which you are about to become a more active part, I have no doubt that you are impressed by its chaos, its lack of plan." Now, I don't know about you, but nothing makes me feel more at ease than a leader educating you on the haphazardness of the program they are a part of. Behind the humor of the line, I found it extremely relevant. We, like the graduates of the class of 32, battled a significant historical event on our way to graduation, and still managed to achieve all that we had hoped. We are the class that embraced our situations and did all that we could to be able to get to this very point, and I'm immensely proud. If you learned nothing else from your time at Lunenburg High, remember the determination of the individuals beside you. It is often said that you are what you repeatedly do, and that excellence, therefore, is a habit, not an act. So I ask you, as your peer, as your friend, what are you going to make of this great expanse of opportunity ahead of you? What actions will you turn into habits? What do you want to define you? Dedicate yourself. Use all that you have learned in your time here and seek to decode the chaos. Fight it. Go into this new phase of life with intention, with purpose, and with pride. Congratulations, class of 2021. We did it. At this time, I'd like to invite all the seniors to process out to throw our caps.